Okay, guys, let's start the session. Okay, in our last class means our second class got cancelled due to network issues.
సార్ రికార్డ్ చేయట్లేదు సార్.
పెట్టానండి రికార్డింగ్. రికార్డింగ్ పెట్టాను.
It's recording.
Okay. So in our first class we have discussed what is SQL Server and what is a database and installation process. So which means this is the first step we have done. SQL Server and SSMS. These two installations are done. And once we are done with these two installations, how we can connect to SQL Server using SSMS. This already we discussed, but again I will show you now. Okay. Once you are done with the installation of these two servers, go to Windows. Just press on Windows button and search for SSMS. Type SSMS, and you will see like this. Click on this. It will open a window along with one pop-up box. This is like, and the server type is this, and the server name is this. So server type is we have a multiple, but from here we need to select only database engine. Okay, and the server name. So here, if you are not seeing anything, click on browse for more and select the database engine and expand the checkbox, and here you will be seeing your server name. Select the server name and click on OK. Click on OK. And next, coming to authentication. So if your installation is basic and you have chosen Windows authentication, then select the Windows authentication. There are two types of authentications we have: Windows and SQL Server authentication. If it is Windows authentication, it will not ask you for username and password. By default, it will take the system username and password. Okay. If you select the SQL Server authentication, it will ask you for the login name and password. So from where you will get this username and password is while installing. If you have chosen SQL Server authentication, there itself it will ask you for username and password. You need to save those credentials and you need to pass those credentials over here. Okay, since most of the people have installed with basic, so basic will not ask you for any manual intervention. By default, it will take Windows authentication. That's why here I am choosing Windows authentication. So click on connect. So now I have established the connection to SQL Server using SSMS. See, need to establish the connection to the SQL Server from SSMS. So this is the SSMS. From the SSMS, I have established the connection to SQL Server. Okay, this step is done. Then I need, if you want to store, where you will store the database, where you will store the data, generally in the database. So if you want to store the data in the database, first of all, you need to create a database or not. The environment is ready for us. Now we need to create a database. Where do you want to store the information? Here, see, once this is the instance or server, you can say. In the server, you can have multiple databases. One server can have multiple databases. In which database you want to store the data, you can. In which database you want to store, you can store the data. So now I'm just, so where I can create a database. So here.
Database, new database.
So first you need to have the environment to write your queries. Okay, can you able to write or something over here in this pan Object Explorer?
No.
No. So you need an environment. You need a place where you can write all your queries. Click on new query. Or select the server and do Control-N. So by default, it is in the master database. See, when you have installed, by default, these are all will come. System database, database snapshots. So system database, master database, model, MSDB, and TempDB. These are all databases by automatically will come. These all will be having a system information. Whatever the the exercises or whatever the practices that we are doing, everything will be tracked in these databases. Okay, these are the system databases. If everyone is installed in the server on your machine, automatically these are all will come, entire structure. When it comes to here, see this batch 20, demo, evening, online, RG, these are all user defined databases. These are all user defined databases. Okay, next comes to security. Here logins information would be there.
Krishna, what is defined by user defined databases?
These are demo, evening, online, batch 20, org. If you create any database over here, let's say I am creating on database. Create, how to create is create database name. Some I am just creating a sample database. So here it is saying commands completed successfully. See here, if you are seeing master, right, available databases. When I am placing a cursor here, it is showing available databases. When you are logging into the SQL server, so by default database is master database. Okay, if you want to create any new database, that you can create only in master. When you are in master, from master only you can create a database. Okay, now I have created a sample database. You can see completed successfully. Once you have write the command, just select the command, click on execute or F5. Click on execute or F5. So command completed successfully. Where I can found this database is created or not?
In the object
Do you see
explorer.
here? In the object explorer, do you see here?
No.
Refresh.
Please refresh it. You are able to see now or not? This is the
Yes.
user defined database.
Yes.
Okay, just expand this. The structure is, for every database, the structure is common. We just created a database. We have not created anything yet. We just created. See, do you see any tables over here? Some system tables is there. File tables. Do you see anything? External tables, graph tables. Have you created anything? No.
Oh.
Any views or any external sources? Nothing you have created. But this will be a common structure for every database. Okay. So now you have created a database. And now, what is the next step? Once the connection is established, create a database. So now I need to create a table. So where the data will be stored? The data will be stored in the database. In the database, how the data will be stored in the database? In the
Rows
form
and
of
columns.
tables. The data will be stored in the tables. So once you are done with creation of a database, so now what is your next step to store the data?
Create.
You create a table.
Table.
So I'm just creating some table. Create. Don't worry, guys. This syntaxes and everything I will explain again. Not a problem. I'm just simply create table. Some sample table.
Table name.
Okay. Student number. And okay. I'm just creating a table. There is already an object named sample in the database. మనం క్రియేట్ చేసామండి ఇప్పుడు శాంపిల్ ఏమన్నా. Have we created any table with the sample? No, right? This is the first thing we are creating. But it is saying there is already an object in the sample database. Where we are creating? In which database we are trying to create the sample?
Sample. Sample.
Here it is in it is selected master. We are
Yes.
creating it in master. See, go to system database where you saw the master database here. Go to master, go to tables. You see some sample table anywhere? Yes, here it is. Whatever the table that you are creating is under the master table. Since already that there was a table and there was a table with the same name, it is throwing an error. Okay. Just if you want to create this table in your database, what you need to do here, you need to select your database, sample database. Now you are in sample database. Just create.
Or else we can write use the database name.
Yes, we can. Because if just a moment, yes, just a second. So now we have created a sample table. See, here it is saying command completed successfully. Where I can check this table? Now,
Sample database.
master database.
The
No,
sample
right? The first time when you are trying to create this table, that time the database is in master. But now we have selected sample database, no?
Sample.
So go to sample and go to tables. We have created table, right? Go to tables. And do you see the table created? Just click on refresh. Now you are able to see the table or not?
Yes.
Yes.
This. So now you can start insert the data and you can manage the data in the database by using insert command, delete command, update command. So to organize, to manage the data in the database. So we have a SQL commands is there. So we need to use some SQL commands. Okay, that we'll discuss. Okay, all understood, right? This.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we have gone through these steps. We have done with the, see, every database, whatever the database, if it is a relational database, this is the steps. You need to install your SQL server. In case of MySQL, it is we need to install Workbench because it is an open source. For that also, we need to do this. First, we need to install a server, whether it is a Microsoft SQL server or a Oracle or DB2 or anything. First, you need to install a server. And then you need to install a client tool. Then client. What is a client? In case of Microsoft SQL Server, it is SSMS. In case of Oracle, it is SQL Developer. Okay. In case of MySQL, it is a Workbench. In case of DB2, whatever it is supported. Okay. We need to take the client. Once the client is installed, just open the client and establish the connection to the server from the client. So client so once that is done, you can create your database and you can start writing your commands. Okay, these steps we are done. Okay, before going into the actual, let me. So if I ask you to create if I ask you to take the student's information, so what you will do first?
Student number.
So in our initiative, if I assign some task to any of you and ask you to collect the student information. So first, what you will do first?
Name.
Roll number,
First you will
name.
prepare the structure or not?
Yes.
Whatever the information you need, first you will write all the information.
Yeah, first we need to do.
Then only the data will be in a structured format. Otherwise, someone will start with the name, someone will start different. So though they are providing all the details, but the fields, the data that they are entering in a zigzag order.
Yeah.
Not all the students will follow the same order or not. Okay. So if you want to make it a uniform, if you want to make it a structured way, so what you will do?
column
create
names.
the structure.
Yeah.
Student number, student name, and course he is doing, and what is his mobile number, and what is his email, and what is his address. Okay, like this. First you will prepare the structure, and then if you ask everyone to fill up, so they'll go in the same way, right or not? So let's say I'm just saying Krishna, course, talent, mobile some 1 2 3 4, email is okay. So address some. All this data is relevant or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Student number 1, student name is Krishna, and course is talent, and mobile is 1 2 3 4, and email is krishna@gmail.com, and address is Hyderabad. So all the information what we feed is right. And next, now
Unstructured data.
It's relevant but unstructured.
relevant but unstructured. Unstructured in the sense I have here in place of S number I have inserted Raju. Why the system is accepting? In case of S number, it should be numbers, right? You know, this is S number and it should hold only numbers. But how the system know? How this Excel knows? It has to store only numbers. Here in case of student name, it has to store only alphabets. How the system know? You know, generally the student name or any name should not have numbers. But here
We
it is
need to
accepting.
mention
Data type.
while creating the structure itself, whether it's
Variable or
integer or
integer.
varchar.
Varchar.
Here what we need to do is we need to tell the system to store, if in case, see, when it comes to S number in our idea, so S number should have only numbers. So while inserting the data, we need to tell the system this column should have, this S number field should have only integers. If it is trying to insert anything other than integer, please inform. Or it inform means it will throw an error.
An error.
Okay, that type of conditions we need to put. Got it? So then what we'll do, even though you are trying to insert a characters instead of numbers, then it will throw an error and we'll come to know this will allow you to store only numbers, but we are trying to inserting something different, we need to correct it. Or if whatever the value that we are trying to insert into is correct, but the data type that we are, whatever the condition that we have defined on that column is wrong, then we'll change the column. It is not always that the data that we are inserting is not correct. We need to correct the data, but sometimes, though you are expecting a numbers, but sometimes it will have a characters, so which is valid. Then what you need to do? What you need to do? You need to change the data type. Okay. So if you want to keep these type of conditions in our SQL server or in Oracle and in any of the database, we have a concept called data types. We have a concept called data types. So what is a data type? We have a concept called data type. Okay. What is a data type?
In which format we are storing the data.
The type of data
Defines the type of
to
data.
be stored into the column or a field. Sorry guys, if I am writing a spelling mistakes, please forgive me. Okay. The type of data to be stored into the column or a field. Okay. So What type of data will be there?
Numbers, characters.
Integer.
Characters, data.
Integer, character, variable.
String.
Table.
Numbers.
Characters. Date.
Special character.
Date. Right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. So when comes to number data types, bit, tiny int, big int, bit, tiny int, small int. These are all the available data types we have for numbers. These are the number data types available in the,
Boolean will be also there, na?
which is bit,
Data types.
which is bit,
Okay, okay.
bit data type. It will store true or false, which in the sense here either 0 or 1. Okay, bit will allow you to store 0 or 1. So when it comes to the numbers, what are all we have?
Integer and float.
Exact numeric. Exact numeric. Non-exact numeric. Exact numeric in the sense, whatever the value that we are trying to feed into the column, if it is storing the exact value, then the data types are exact numeric data types. So begin, after begin, we have decimal and float. Non-exact numeric is in the sense, say float. Generally will not use float data type in any of the database most, because float will not always store the exact value. Okay, float almost will round the value and store. So if the business wants you to use float, then use. Otherwise, we'll go for a decimal. We'll go for a decimal. Just let me come. It will store 0 and 1. Suppose if you want to make either true or false conditions. So if the condition is true, I just wanted to make this record as 0, or if it is false, then you want to make it as a 1. So in that situation, you can use bit operator. Suppose simple example in this Excel, let me keep you. Email YN, mobile YN. So these are the two columns is there. What is this? So anyone can understand what is email YN, what is mobile YN?
Yes or no?
Yes
LS
or
or
no.
no, mobile S or no.
Yes or no? Suppose what does it means is when I need to populate a true and I need to populate it false is, suppose from my institute, I'll send you the notifications every day, or any new information or anything about a new batch, or whatever the information that I am just wanted to convey the students. I'll either send you through either email or mobile. So if you want the updates, then yes. If you don't want the updates, then no. Which means yes means this Krishna is he needs the updates through email, not to the mobile. And comes to the second student, you don't want the communications either through email or mobile. Got it right? So instead of Y, here you can keep 0, and this is 1, and this is 1.
Hello, Krishna. Your screen was not coming.
Even we can't hear you.
Yeah,
Sir, your screen is not visible.
I think he is facing power issue.
His call is dropped.
Your screen is not visible to us.
Swati J is the host.
We can't able to see your screen.
Krishna is not there.
I think he got disconnected.
Recording is going on.
Krishna is not there.
Krishna, your screen is not visible.
It was disconnected. Don't know why. Okay. Am I audible, guys?
You're audible, but your screen is not audible.
Not visible.
Screen I am sharing.
Yes, it is visible now.
Okay. Now the next data type is tiny int. Okay. Next data type is tiny int. It will use to store numbers.
I think it is saying
Just let me open you the document.
Sir, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Now it
Is
is audible.
Just a second, please. Okay. See, this is a bit, and next is tiny int. So tiny int, small int, and big int. All of these are used to store the numbers only. All these four data types are used to store the numbers only. But what is the difference among these? The difference among these four is size. Difference among the four is size. See, tiny int, it will allow you to store between 0 to 255. It is depends upon your, depends. Suppose I just wanted to create a student table and I just wanted to create a course table in my database. Okay. How many courses would be there generally? How many courses would be there generally? Hardly 10, 15.
Sir, voice is break, sir.
Yeah,
Not more than that. Okay.
10 to
And when,
20 will be there.
yeah, when comes to student table, so there are a lot.
Yeah, a number of
Students, like let's
hundreds.
say our
Will be in hundreds.
institute only. Yeah, in our institute only so far we are we have teached around 10,000 plus students. Okay, and we are offering only two courses, which is talent and SQL. Okay, when you are defining a course table, how many records would be there in?
Your voice is
My voice
disturbance.
disturbance.
Little bit disturbance is there.
I'll just mute them, please. Let me change the network.
அப்ப கூட நேத்து ஃபுல்லா அந்த பார்க் கிட்ட போய் பார்க்ல கொஞ்ச நேரம் உட்கார்ந்து ஒரு 1/2 hour அப்போ வந்து நேத்து அத இப்போ ஓகே மாதிரி தோணுது இது மத்திய அவங்க வந்து இந்த வரைக்கும் ரெண்டு வரையில
Okay. Is it fine now, guys?
Yes, Krishna.
Yes, sir.
Yes, bro.
This is the first batch I am seeing these many network issues here. We are stuck at first class from past 4-5 days. Yeah, this is a fourth batch I am taking in the evening.
Yeah.
I never faced this type of network issues. Even in the daytime, I'm just I had a lot of calls with the client. Those are fine. I don't know why. Okay. Next, where are we? So I'm just explaining a student table and course table. Okay. In the course table, generally, if you take our institute only, we'll be having 2 records. One is talent and the other is SQL. When it comes to the students, how many students will be having? Around 11,000. So if you want to, so here in the student table, I will be having a student ID, and in the course table, I will be having a course ID. In the course ID, in the student ID, what you will define? In the student ID, what you will store? Numbers.
Numbers.
In the course ID, what you will store? Numbers only.
Numbers.
Okay. In what data type you will give? Tiny int or small int or int or big int?
Small.
So for course, tiny int fine, right? We'll be having only 1 and 2 records, and I'm just trying to store 1 course ID 1 and 2. So if I gave a tiny int over there, it will be sufficient or not? Though you in the future, if you have added 10 or 15 courses also, it is fine. And when it comes to sorry, your voice is not
there are
clear.
only two. Can we use bit in the place of tiny int, because there are only two courses, right?
What you want to give?
Bit BIT.
So why you want to go for a bit? So okay, what is
Only
the
two
course
courses now.
ID? Yeah, 2 courses
Only
only.
two. Yeah.
You want to fill with 0 and 1?
Yeah. 0.
0 is
No, you
talent
mean
and
to say
1
only
is
the
SQL.
result will be 0 or 1? Yeah, that's what.
0 is talent and 1 is SQL. You
SQL.
can give.
Yeah.
You can give. If
Okay.
any other new course come in, then it will fail.
Then at that time we can alter the table, no?
Yeah, that is the case. You can see that why I am explaining is it depends upon the situation. It depends upon the scenario you want. So you don't need to know all bit, int, small int and int. Directly you can give big int. Directly you can give for course ID you can give big int, and for student ID you can give big int, because what is the data type that will
But in
allow you the maximum number is
but in real time
in
the
real time.
data types will be, every data type will be calculated now. Like the size, the amount of size it is taking in the database.
See, bit whatever the data that you are storing, for that only it will take the data, or it will occupy the storage.
Okay.
Okay. So,
yeah. Right.
okay. Yeah. In generally, for numbers and IDs, we generally don't prefer bit. Bit is preferred to have when you want to know true or false kind of things.
Okay.
Okay. Even you can go store the 0 and 1 values in the tiny int as well, which means only bit should be used. And okay. Okay. So these are the differences. So first course table, you can go for a tiny int. Why I am going for a tiny int is, even in future, if there are any courses added, it will not be beyond 255. It will not be beyond 255. But when it comes to the student table, so I am just going for a small int. So small int might be in the future, and after 3-4 years, the students might be, the student ID might be from 11,000 to 35,000 or something. In that case, the small int will fail, because the small int will allow to store between 32,768 from negative to positive. Okay, in between this number only it will allow you to store. If you want to store the beyond number, then what you need to do is you need to alter your data type to either int or big int based on your number. Got it right? So these are all 4: tiny int, small int, and big int. Both 4 are used to store the numbers only, but the difference is the size. Depends upon the table, and depends upon the amount of data to be insert you are expecting in future. Based on that, you should assign your data type. You can pick any of these. In my case, students are almost will be grow day by day or month by month, and I will be expecting more. And when it comes to the courses might not be more than 255. That's why I'm going and giving a static tiny int for it. But the student, for now I will be giving a small int. But in future, if the students are more than 32,768, then that time I'll change the data type from small int to int. So how we can do that I will show you when we are doing a practical. Not a problem. Okay, we'll do it in a practical, and so don't worry. So when it comes to the decimal, if you want to store like decimal values like 100 point, let's say if you go for a petrol price, it would be like 112.78 or 112.68, like kind of thing is there, right? So if you want to store that type of values into your database, then you will either choose decimal or numeric. Numeric is just a synonym for a decimal. How the decimal will work, in the same numeric also will work. You can use either of the one. It doesn't matter. Okay. If you want to store those decimal values, you can use either decimal or numeric. See, the syntax is decimal of p comma s. Decimal of p comma s. P is the precision and s is the scale. When we are working with that, by the time I'll let you know what is the precision and what is the scale, how you need to calculate. When you are working with insert statements and all, I'll let you know only. So by that time, I'll show you how you can calculate the precision and scale. So numeric is just the synonym for it. Numeric is just a synonym for decimal. Non-exact numeric and it's a float. It stores a floating point numbers, but it will store approximate values, not the exact values. Suppose if you want to store 100.97 or something like that, so decimal will store exact value, but a float will store approximate value. It might get rounded. So if it is automatically getting rounded by the data type, there at the end of the day, if you see the numbers would change. So the business will not accept. So if you want to store the exact numerics, preferably you can go for a decimal or either numeric. Even float, I never used float till now. Okay, unless if the client is requested to use, then you can use. Okay, that's why we are saying it is as a non-exact numeric. Anyone has any doubts regarding number data types, numeric data types?
Sir, in between we have 0 and 1.
0
Sorry?
means true or false.
0 means true or false.
Is 0 a true or false?
It depends upon your business and it depends upon your business. So either of the thing you can, if you are making a 0 as a true and everywhere in your database or in your server, you should make 0 as true for all everywhere and 1 is false. Suppose in some of the companies will make 1 is true and 0 is false. If you are making 1 is true, everywhere 1 would be true in your project. Okay, before
we have
you
to decide,
yeah, in your project you have to decide. In my project, 0 is a true.
Okay.
1 is false. Okay, so everywhere I will follow 0 as a true. Sometimes if you are defining, suppose you are working on creating some table and you are trying to insert the data, there also have a bit operator, and some other guy from your team also working on some table and there also bit operator is there. And while loading in your table, you marked 0 as a true, and in his table he used 1 as a true. Then confusion will be there, right? Which one has to consider and which table? Yes. So before you started creating, if you have any kind of bit operator needs to be used, then make sure what is true and what is false. Then everyone has to follow the same. Okay. Any more questions? Okay. So these are the number data types, and next is the characters. Number, you know how to store the numbers. Next, how you can store the characters. So what are the character data types? The character data types are classified into 2 types. One is Unicode and the other one is non-Unicode. First, you need to know what is Unicode and what is non-Unicode. Unicode in the sense, the English that you are trying to store, which is other than British English. So some different English would be there, and on top of that English, there will be some special type of characters would be there. So which is a Unicode data, which is not a plain English. So if you want to store those data into your database, you need to use separate data types. And if you want to store the plain English, which is a British English or our English, you can use non-Unicode data types. Non-Unicode data types. The character data types are classified into 2, which is Unicode and non-Unicode. See, non-Unicode is character, char, varchar, and Unicode is nchar and nvarchar and ntext. So nothing for Unicode characters, just the simple thing is you need to keep prefix n to it. That's it. First, whatever the data that you are trying to load into the database, if that is a string column, you need to either check the data in the source, or you need to confirm from your architect or from the business the data is coming as a Unicode format or non-Unicode format. If it is Unicode format, then you need to go for a Unicode data types. If it is a non-Unicode format, then you go for a non-Unicode data types. What are non-Unicode data types is char, varchar, and text. What is non-Unicode data types? Nchar, nvarchar, and ntext. So the functionality is same. Functionality is same. Okay. When you go for a char, it is allowed to store alphanumeric values. It is allowed to store alphanumeric values and is preferred to store characters and fixed length values. Though the char data type is allowed you to store alphanumeric values, both char and varchar allowed to store alphanumeric values. But what is the difference when the char is preferred and when varchar is preferred? When the char is preferred is the string is pure alphabets and that string is a fixed length string. The string, whatever the string that you are trying to store into a particular field, if that string is pure alphabets and that string is a fixed length, then you prefer char. Suppose if the string is varying and if it has alphanumeric values, and the string is varying, then you go for a varchar. Got it my point? The char and varchar both are used to store alphanumeric values. Both are used to store alphanumeric values. But which one to be preferred and when? The char would be preferable only when you have alphabets and that when the string has a pure alphabets and that string is a fixed length string. Then you can go for a char. Otherwise, you can go for a varchar. Okay. Why it is a char is a fixed length string? It means, let me explain you. Char. Okay. Varchar. Okay. I have defined this char as a okay. So this is a char. Let's say this is a SNAME field. Krishna, Raju, and Satish, I just wanted to store. So if I define this, the char, if I define with the char data type and if I define with the varchar data type, the size is 10 I have given. Let's say it is Krishna. How many characters? Actual is 10. We have given the size. The actual size is what? 10. In case of varchar also, it is 10. And how many is occupied?
7.
7.
Here, how many is occupied?
4.
Here,
7.
7. In case of here, 7.
4, 7.
7. See, here in case of char, whatever the size you have defined, irrespective of the number of characters you have fed. Here, if you see, you have defined a size of 10 characters, but you have given only 7 characters. So we have a 3 characters space is there, right?
Yes.
Space is there or not?
Yes. Yes.
CAD
Is there?
does not release any space. Does not release any space. So it will occupy 10 bytes of memory. Suppose you have here, I am just loading 3 string, 3 names. The total occupied by the char is 30 bytes. Okay. Varchar. So how many bytes it will occupy? So though you have defined with the size of 10, but it will occupy actual
18.
actual space, which is 18. So here, how many character space we are freeing up? 12 characters. In case of char, it is unnecessarily
30.
Guys, please mute yourself. Okay, the 12 bytes of memory, it is unnecessarily occupying, which creates extra storage cost or not.
Yes.
Suppose if the string is that's why the string is a pure alphabet, but it is varying. It is a pure alphabet but the string is varying. So in this case, prefer varchar. Prefer varchar. If the string is, let's say, course, I am just wanted to do course, talent. So for all of you guys, the course is talent only. Do you see any change in the string length?
No.
No.
In that scenario, you can go for a char because this is a pure alphabet and the length is not varying. It's a fixed length string. Then you can go for a char. Okay. And text. When you go for a text is, if the size of the varchar is not sufficient, then you can go for a text. The size of the varchar is not sufficient, then you go for a text. Got it right? And in case of Unicode characters, the same. Only you need to know whether the given string, whatever the string that we are coming, it is coming from the source, is Unicode or non-Unicode. If it is Unicode, you need to take these data types, nchar, nvarchar, and text. If it is non-Unicode, you can take char, varchar, and text. But the functionality is same. But only the difference between these two is the Unicode data types will occupy the double size than non-Unicode data types. Unicode data types will occupy the double size than non-Unicode. Suppose the same value. Here in Excel we have written, right? Size is 10. Krishna is 7, right? But when you are trying to store this value into nvarchar, you need, here you have defined a 10, right? You need to define a 20 if it is nvarchar. That's what I have mentioned here. Unicode data types will occupy. When you are taking the Unicode, if the data is coming in the source is Unicode, then you need to use these data types and the size would be double than the non-Unicode. Suppose for the same string in Unicode, non-Unicode, if you will allocate 20 bytes, then here you need to allocate 40 bytes. You need to allocate 40 bytes. So I will show you the, see, let me create a table. See, I'm just creating a table. Okay. Inserting the data into a table. Char, if it is char, varchar and varchar. I'm just giving the same string. And here, while creating a table, have defined the same size. Okay. Just I am inserting. See, char this char data type I have assigned, and varchar and varchar data type I have assigned. And I am trying to store the same value into the 3 columns. And now to check the size, we want to see, just see the data. ABC, ABC and ABC, the same data. But internally, how much is the space it is occupying? Just see. Char data, how much is the space it is occupying?
10.
10 bytes. But here you have entered
Only
is
this.
only
3.
3 bytes.
3.
When comes to the varchar, how many bytes of memory, how many bytes you have inserted? 3.
3.
Though it is defined at 10, it occupies only 3 bytes.
3.
But comes to varchar, see,
It is 6. Double the varchar.
double than the non-Unicode. That's what I have mentioned in there, right? Got it? So this is how you need to. If it is a char, though the data type, the size is defined as a 10. So irrespective of the number of characters that you are feeding into this column, it will always occupy 10 bytes of memory per each string. And when it comes to the varchar, irrespective of the size that you have given, it will occupy the actual size. And when it comes to the varchar data, so it is simply, it will occupy the actual size only, but it is simply double the
Non-Unicode.
double size of non-Unicode. If you are trying to store the Unicode, non-Unicode data, and you have assigned this non-Unicode data type, then it will occupy the double size. Okay, that is. Yeah. Here you can see the difference between char and varchar and varchar. Okay, this is the table. Whatever I have explained you there, all will be there here. Storage, size, length. Okay, usage. These are all we discussed. Okay, so number data types is done. And anyone has any questions regarding this character data types?
No.
Next, date data types. This is a date end. So if you are defining your column with a date, so it will allow you the date with this format. It will allow you to store only the date. If you are defining your column with the data type as a time, it will allow you to store only time, hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. And date time too. If you are defining a column with date time, it is used to store date and time along with microseconds. See. And if date time too is quite same as the date time, but date time too allow you to store nanoseconds as well. Suppose in the DB, select, this is a system defined function. I'll explain you when we are there the functions. Okay, select get date. What is this format? Tell me.
Date time 1.
Date time. So what is this here? Date time. It is used to store. So date means what is the date from it?
Y.
System date.
Y.
Time, if you assign the time,
H.
what will be the value?
Hours,
Simply
minutes,
minutes,
seconds,
seconds,
Seconds, milliseconds.
seconds.
milliseconds.
milliseconds.
Micro.
Okay. Date time is whatever we have here is simple.
Okay.
Date time 2 is,
It will add
Nanoseconds and
nanoseconds as well.
do you have nanoseconds then? You don't have nanoseconds, right? So simply keep zeros. If you have available, it will come. If you don't have available, it will fill with zeros. Okay.
Okay.
Suppose in your column, you are defining a data type of date time. There is a column, date of birth. Let's say date of birth. Date of birth. So you are defined with the date time, but you have passed only a date. Then what is the date time format? Date time is, this is the format, right?
Hours, time will come.
Date and time along with microseconds. So what will come?
It will take all remaining zeros.
It will take all remaining zeros. Okay. When you are taking a higher granular data type, which is, this is a, right, and you are passing date. You are passing date. But what about the time and microseconds? That is getting populated with all zeros. It is getting populated all with zeros. Okay. These are the data types. ఎవరికైనా questions ఉంటే you can ask me. Anyone has any questions?
Services.mnc కి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత కూడా we are not unable to get what you are getting.
Actually, I have gone through 2 or 3 people and so they have not installed the server.
But I have
Server
installed.
somehow install అవ్వకపోవటం కానీ లేకపోతే ఇన్స్టాలేషన్ అయ్యేటప్పుడు ఫెయిల్ అవటం కానీ జరిగింది.
So we need to install it again.
సర్వీస్ అది ప్రాపర్ గా ఇన్స్టాలేషన్ అయితేనే మీకు సర్వర్ ఉంటుంది service.msc లో. If you have installed the SQL server properly, there you can able to see the services related to the SQL server.
It's showing as running.
Running,
Yeah.
Okay. Then connect me once. I'll check and I'll let you know.
Okay.
So about the date format, how you'd like to change the date format? First date.
Conversions,
month,
you are asking about the conversions,
date, month, year, last, then.
That's what I'm asking. You are asking me to for this conversions.
Representing the date in different format, same date, but
yeah. We'll discuss and when we are coming to the conversion functions, there we'll discuss.
And inserting more values, number of rows at a time. All these things
we are not there yet, and just we have discussed
okay.
data types. Tomorrow we'll create a table.
Will it cover in coming up classes?
Yes, tomorrow's and day after tomorrow's class, I'll tell you how to create a table and how to insert a data into single row, multi-row, and all columns and specific columns.
Then
Everything.
Krishna, can you provide what are the topics we are going to discuss throughout this throughout the SQL? What are the topics, topic wise or any list?
I mean index.
Can you provide the topics list?
Yes.
List of topics which you are going to discuss. Roughly how many sessions we have?
It will be around 15 to 20. So first is the introduction. That is already done. SQL data types.
15 is 15.
Krishna, can you provide a PDF material?
Sorry,
Can you provide PDF material?
I don't have any PDF material, and whatever I'm just discussing, I will be sharing. So this SQL data types I have shared you now in the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
And I'll share you the video. Separate document and అయితే లేదండి నా దగ్గర ఏమి.
Okay.
Oracle అది కావాలంటే I had it. I will share it. Oracle.
Yeah, Oracle also.
MS SQL server మీకు బయట ఎక్కడ దొరకదు. డాక్ షేర్ ఇవన్నీ.
Okay, Krishna. Oracle
SQL data types.
Oracle అయినా పర్లేదండి.
SQL statements. ఓకే అండి, నేను నా దగ్గర ఉండాలి, చెక్ చేసి నేను షేర్ చేస్తాను.
Okay, thank you.
SQL statements and null handling, constraints, operators.
కృష్ణ డేటా టైప్స్ లో టైం స్టాంప్ కూడా ఉంటది కదా?
అది Oracle లో ఉంది.
SQL లో ఉండదా?
Date time ఉంది కదా. Time, what the time stamp will do? Date and time only, no? Here we have date time is there. ఉంది కదా, date time ఉంది, date time 2 ఉంది.
ఎస్, డేట్ టైం వేరు, డేట్ టైం టు వేరు, స్మాల్ డేట్ టైం వేరు, డేట్ వేరు, టైం వేరు, డేట్ ఆఫ్సెట్ వేరు, టైం స్టాంప్ వేరు కదా. టైం స్టాంప్ ఏంటి? స్టోర్స్ ఏ యూనిక్ నెంబర్ దట్ గెట్స్ అప్డేటెడ్ ఎవ్రీ టైమ్ ఏ రో గెట్స్ క్రియేటెడ్ ఆర్ మోడిఫైడ్.
అవును, yes, even if you gave a that get date ఉంది కదా, this will give you a current system date and time. See, data type వేరు, the value that is storing into that column వేరు. మనకి ఎవ్రీ టేబుల్ లో జనరల్ గా ఉంటే క్రియేటెడ్ డేట్, మాడిఫైడ్ డేట్ ఉంటాయి. ఎవ్రీ టైమ్ దట్ రికార్డ్ is inserted or the time record is updated, so those two fields will be updated. Okay, so that fields will be updated by using some static function.
Okay,
that in Oracle I believe we have a system sysdate or sysdate or something would be there, which will give us a system date and time. So when you are making an insert of the record into the table, if you want to track of when it has created and when it has modified last time, so you will populate with the get date.
Okay,
so that is the time value that you are inserting. But when it comes to the data type is different. Though you have defined the created date and modified date, there if you want to store only dates, then you can go for date data type. But if you want to store date and time, then you can go for a date time data type. That is different. The offsets are different. Offsets when will come is, that is different based on the time duration. See, if you are trying to get the data from some different countries, the time is not the same. But if you want to make it unique, that offset will be useful.
okay. Then, thank you, Krishna.
Yes, okay. We are at the topic, right? Yeah. Built-in functions, operators, built-in functions. Next, joins.
So you are going to take total 15 classes, sir? Krishna?
Yeah. Yes. Temp tables and global temp tables and index, analytical functions, procedures. These are the topics and I will be covering.
Operators means which will come in under operators?
Sorry?
Operators, under operators topic which will come?
Arithmetic operators, relational operators, and will come set operators. Okay. Here one more is there. Views.
What about keys? Keys. Primary key, primary key, foreign key.
Constraints and.
Oh, comes under constraints too.
built-in functions లో వచ్చేసరికి string functions, character functions, number functions, datetime functions.
So
Conversion
Krishna, it's a
function.
2 weeks class.
Bottom
It's a
maybe
2 weeks
stored
class.
procedures, nothing but stored procedures.
Stored procedures అండి. Yes, and it would be 2 weeks class. It would be quite more.
Okay.
2-3 classes.
Okay.
Because here, if you comes to the built-in functions and operators almost take 2. This is 1 day already done, and this is 1 day done. This will take at least 2 days. Okay. These 2 together will take 2 days, and this will take 2, and this will take 3 days. Built-in functions.
Just to
Joins is
discuss
all.
about topics or any scenarios about related topics.
Operators, in the sense, we'll do some scenarios. We'll do some practice scenarios. Okay, views. This will take, and this will cover in giants and views can be completed in 2 days, and this will be 1 day, and this will be 1 day. This will be 1 day. So total together is 18 hours, which will be plus or minus 2 hours.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Some days it will be get extended, so that times it will cover. So that's why I said 15 to 20 classes.
Okay. Thank you.
More or less.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
more or less.
Any changes to timings?
Sorry,
Any changes to timings?
no changes.
Okay.
For this batch is evening only. From next batch onwards, it would be in the morning.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Krishna.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you.